Trent Dilfer, 15 years in the league, a Super Bowl, a Pro Bowl. Let's talk about one of those young guys. Now, I don't think a lot of people saw Trey Lance yesterday out of the Bay Area. They were watching the Cowboys game and the big afternoon games. You did. I did as well. But I want your thoughts, your interpretation, because it was the second start, but it was a really crucial, meaningful start for him. Your thoughts on what you saw with Trey?
Yeah, massive game for the Niners and a tough spot for Trey Lance to get plugged in. And he started off terribly. I mean, he did not look the part, did not start the game well. And that's what impressed me was his grit, his resolve, his bounce back. And that's what I think the Niners loved so much about him was the intangible stuff, like all the other things outside the massive horsepower and talent that goes with Trey Lance. He put himself together. He had command of this offense. He made some really creative, nuanced plays, extending one to his left, a bootleg where he kind of buys time going backwards and hits the crosser kind of falling away. Some nice downfield throws on in their action package. Handled the run game really well, and I know the fans hate hearing that, but it's a huge part of playing quarterback in the NFL is how you handle the run game and all the checks at the line of scrimmage. He handled the pressure packages that the Texans threw at him really well. Just played with a great deal of poise, and you could see the horsepower come out this time. Like, this was the game we were like, whoa, okay, he's got all the coolness, he's got all the moxie, he's got all the intangible stuff, and he's electric. I mean, he's an electric athlete. He's got a big arm. There's still some stuff he can clean up with his delivery and tighten some things up. Yeah. And that will come with time. But overall, really impressive performance in a big spot for a rookie quarterback.
You know, Joy and I have been saying this is and I have to move off some of this stuff where I'm used to 6'3.5", 215, and then Jalen Hurts, who doesn't throw a pretty deep ball, but I'm like, I said this about 7 weeks ago. I'm like, yeah, but they score 30 points every time I watch them. Like, people are obviously struggling to figure out them on third down, and there's something Jalen's doing. And it's not a great O-line. They have to rebuild it. What am I to make of Jalen Hurts? Is the ceiling lower? Is it a new thing that nobody quite can figure it out? What do you make of it?
Well, first, let's start here. I think so many people, and I'm not blaming you. I mean, everybody makes a mistake, whether your life is quarterbacks or whether you talk about it on TV, whether you coach it. You see somebody at one point, and then you kind of judge them from there. And you forget that these uber talented players, when are coached well, can get better for years. Jalen Hurts has gotten a lot better in the last 18 months. Yeah. I mean, he is way more consistent throwing the football. He said he was going to go to work on some things, and he did. And he's a much better passer. Now, he's still not an elite passer, but he's elite with a lot of other things. Right. Their ability to run the ball because of him being a threat in the run game and all the read stuff they do, the quarterback doesn't have to carry it a ton of times to be very dangerous. And they steal a gap in the run game so often. Well, now all of a sudden the defenses start coming down and being more aggressive, whatever term you want to use, load the box. Well, now there's these big opportunities in the play action game. And the one thing Jalen Hurts has always done really well is throwing the football down the field. So I like what you said when we were coming on here. You can no longer say a quarterback needs to look, play a certain way. There's all different types of flavors of quarterback. It's like ice cream. We all love ice cream. I like mint chip. You might like Rocky Road. The bottom line is ice cream is awesome. Quarterbacks right now are awesome. They just look different and play different and fit different into different systems. And you have to appreciate what they bring your football team within the system that you've plugged them into.
You know, I was saying years ago, you could tell the difference between Aikman and Bernie Kosar. One's a Hall of Famer and one's really talented. But if you looked at their numbers in their best years, you're like, you couldn't really, they're both. Now, when you take a Mahomes or an Allen and then kind of an average quarterback, you can see the difference. And to that, I would say, here's the reason why. I use the Jeopardy argument. Years ago, you could only win a week on Jeopardy, and then you're off the show. So everybody's obviously smart. And then Jeopardy said, no, we're gonna take that out. You can stay as long as you want. Well, then you saw geniuses. Ken Jennings won for 6 months straight. You're like, okay, there's a difference between a bunch of smart people and a genius. So the NFL got rid of all the grabbing receivers and headhunting. Now the top 5, 6 guys, the game looks easy for them. Like it's almost like 11 on 11 summer drills. And so when I would tell you, some of these guys surprise me, some don't. But let's just talk like Joe Burrow. Like I know Jamar Chase is great, but he doesn't have the biggest arm. He doesn't move around like a lot of them. He's throwing for 450 yards, like regularly. Is it schemed? What is it?
I don't have enough time. It's a lot of things. The one, Joe Burrow is very good, very good. He just is not a guy that his talent doesn't jump off the page. It doesn't make you go, wow. Now, he's really, really, really good at a lot of things. And then you add on what I would call the true talent, the intangible stuff, the stuff you can't measure. He's got incredible grit. He's got incredible toughness. He's got incredible moxie. He's got supreme command of what he's doing. Brady-esque with the command of what he's running at the line of scrimmage and how he sees the field. He's got elite vision. I mean, he's a guy that he could be, his eyes can start over here, and on the TV you can barely see something happening on the right, and then he sees intuitively and gets back to it. He has great timing. He has great anticipation. Like he has a lot of the quarterback stuff at an elite level. He's really fun to watch. I'm old enough. You're old enough. Remember watching Jim Kelly play?
Oh yeah.
Marino, Warren Moon. To me, he feels like that generation of quarterback. To me, him and Jim Kelly are almost identical players. Really talented, but their brilliance, their genius is the other stuff besides their physical talent. The players just want to die for him. I mean, he's that kind of personality. He's got the cigar in the post-game press conference. He's got the chip on his shoulder. I feel like I was just drafted in 94 and I went to a golf tournament with all these Hall of Famers and they're all on the grill smoking cigars, playing gin and drinking bourbon. I feel like Joe Burrow should be there with them. Like he's that guy to me. And I liked him in college. I liked him a lot. I mean, how could you not like him? I love him now. Like I literally sit there and feel like I'm watching these guys that I grew up idolizing that are in the Hall of Fame now. Like I'm watching them through Joe Burrow.
Yeah. Finally, it's funny. Matt Stafford was so brilliant in the second half yesterday. He leads the NFL in fourth quarter passer rating. He's just been magnificent second halves. But he's got pick sixes, and he can be sloppy, and it takes him a while to get warmed up. Does it worry you? I said this earlier. Analytics has changed everything. It used to be that if you struck out a lot and hit home runs, you were a liability. Well, that's Cody Bellinger now. Analytics is like, just don't hit ground balls. We don't care about strikeouts. In the NFL, it was lower scoring. You worried about interceptions. Brady threw a pick 6-1. Stafford threw a pick 6-1. Carr threw 2. There's so much more scoring in offense. Like, what I don't want is low ceiling guy. I'll deal with the pick guy occasionally. And I think that's where I've come to terms with him. He's going to end up with 40 touchdown passes. Goff gave you the picks, but ended up with 20. So, to me, I just want guys that can make plays. Like, that's what I look at Matt Stafford. I don't love the pick sixes, but he can often win with them, right?
It's a hard one for me. He did this in Detroit. I love Matt Stafford, but a lot of his heroics was getting him out of jams that he created, right? He did this in Detroit. He's doing it with the Rams. I believe, and I hope I'm wrong here, because I like where you're going, and I would like to see a team be able to just outscore the other team and win a Super Bowl doing that. My conservative nature, my coach hat, my years of studying the league is that one of these interceptions they're not going to be able to overcome.
Yeah.
And if he continues to be careless with the ball early in games, as he has been for the majority of his career, that at some point it's going to put them in a position maybe in Green Bay where you can't afford to make that mistake when the greatest player on the planet right now is going to get the ball after you make that mistake. That's what concerns me. I almost believe, and I said this when Kansas City was struggling, and it worked for them. They almost need to get more boring, Colin. The Rams, to have a chance to win the Super Bowl, almost have to downshift from 5th to 4th. They don't have to go to 2nd or 3rd, but they got to downshift a little bit. And that's what Kansas City did. I'm not trying to change the subject, but I think they're mirror images.
Yeah, you're right.
Kansas City downshifted significantly, maybe even into 3rd. And look at them now. And now they're able to upshift a little bit more. And every once in a while, get that V12 into, 7th gear. Every once in a while. But the Rams got to go backwards a little bit and get a little more boring here to right the ship if they're going to win a Super Bowl. Now, I think they're good enough to get to a championship game playing with their hair on fire. But I think to win a Super Bowl, they got to downshift a little bit and protect Matthew and some of those early game mistakes.
Boy, this was good. He's got a podcast. Check out Trent's podcast, Beyond the X's and O's with Trent Dilfer. He's at an undisclosed location by a giant, beautiful lake. Yeah, I know where he's at. He's in a really nice place. All right, that's his beautiful home. Trent Dilfer, great seeing you, buddy. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.